KFSR and CMAC present the Central Valley Ledger, a public affairs program featuring stories from all over the Central Valley with Sevag Tateosian, 90.7 KFSR.
Welcome to another edition of the Central Valley Ledger. We're recording out of the beautiful downtown Fresno studios of the Community Media Access Collaborative, Fresno and Clovis. Not too far from here, there are some beautiful murals. And our guests and the organization they're with have something to do with those murals. Our guests are with Creative Fresno. We have David and Lindsay. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having us.
So first of all, there's a beautiful mural that I pass by every time I come to the studio that's on the building next door to us. So you all are doing some wonderful work out in the community, so thank you for that.
Well, thank you.
But before we get there, who can tell us about what Creative Fresno is?
I can dive into the history of our organization just a little bit. We actually started in 2006. Mayor Alan Autry and the city council at the time, I believe council member Perea was very involved as well. They started the Creative Economy Council. They gathered up a bunch of different people and a bunch of different backgrounds to create a report and come up with suggestions on how to make Fresno a better place. Honestly, more desirable, because we were losing a lot of our creative, talented workers. Yeah, we were losing them. They were going to other cities thinking there were more opportunities there. So after this report was done and everything was turned into the city, the council was disbanded, and most of the members of that council said, well, we just made this report. We shouldn't just leave it up to the city. We live here. We should be involved too. So they formed Creative Fresno to work to ensure that their recommendations were being followed. So they would periodically give report cards to the city on how the city was doing, but also so that they could help contribute, because you can't leave it all up to the government. Like, as citizens, we have to get involved and better our community.
So here we are, Fresno, the place where people think is this boring, nothing to do, no art. And I'm exaggerating a little bit, because deep down inside I know none of that is true. But, you know, at the time, like, how exciting of a concept is this for the city to get behind of it, right?
Oh yeah, it was a big deal, and it was so exciting because all the phrases you just put out there, there's nothing to do, it's so boring here, that's what we combat as best we can.
If you had to summarize a mission, it's to say, how do we answer people who say, oh, Fresno, in whatever capacity that is?
There was an article last year in the New York Times about Fresno and how it's a great place to be, and the author of the article mentioned some things like, wait, it's Fresno. Actually, you need to rethink about this place. So,
the New York Times and the Atlantic had an article just a couple years before that as well, talking about Fresno as a kind of new Bohemia. Fresno is interesting in the sense that it's located in a place where you can afford to live, which means people can experiment. People can play. People have a place that they can try something that isn't being done. And there are a lot of environments throughout the country where there's a great deal of opportunity, but also there's a great deal of saturation. And in Fresno, if you have an idea, you can pull it in front of a group of people, and people are enthusiastic about it. People are excited to support that kind of initiative and an endeavor. We found that to be true as an organization, that there are people who have ideas like you wouldn't believe. And there are a lot of people who are really excited to get on board with that.
And walking here during Art Hop, walking from my work, which is walking distance to where I park my car, there's buzzing activity with art and food and all the cool stuff. So there is potential, right? What do you two say about that?
Oh my gosh, there's so much potential. And I've been able to see it change. You know, you talked about we work with Murals and Art Hop. Both of those, the murals that Creative Fresno worked with have now expanded greatly, and so many other people are doing murals out there, and it's wonderful. And then Art Hop, when I talk to people who have never experienced it or I take them out, I talk about how there's like the old vanguard of Art Hop, which the people put in so much time and energy and just, they were opening their doors the first Thursday of every month, even if only 2 people would show up. And now you see what's around here by the Cultural Arts Park and by CMAC, and it's just a flurry. It's insane, and it's so amazing.
So what's the organization up to now, presently?
We have a number of initiatives, and they kind of separate themselves out a little bit. We do have a strong presence in the mural community. We help to fundraise for murals. We help to connect people who are looking for muralists to those muralists. We have a database of people in their portfolios. But we have a lot of other things going on independently of those as well. So myself, I'm involved with the Pecha Kucha event that takes place every other month. Pecha Kucha is what I call TED Talks on speed, where people who have something that they're really passionate to talk about, and they come in, and the only requirement we have is it has to be related to the creative world in some way, and they have to do it in a very specific format. So you get 20 slides, 20 seconds per slide, which flies by when you're telling a story, when you're talking. And it's an opportunity for people to get together. It's a networking opportunity. It's a way for people to say, you will never guess what I've been working on. And without fail, I learn something. Without fail, I go home and like call my mom and say, you'll never guess what I just found out. You know, there's people doing really great stuff. And that's really what we want to do with Pecha Kucha, is have people tell the stories of what they're working on, what's getting their juices flowing, what's making them creative, and how are they sharing that creativity.
Who's the audience? So let's say that I've got this brilliant idea and I'm excited about it. I want to share it with people, and I can do it in 20 slides. Who's my audience during Pecha Kucha?
Pecha Kucha is interesting because we have a huge variety of people who show up. And I know everyone technically says that about their events, but really we do. We've had teenagers present. We have a gal who gives tours of downtown, and she came and talked about the tours that she gives. But we also have retirees who talk about the way that they've discovered their art forms after retirement and how that has developed and changed their lives in really unexpected ways. We have people who talk about their creative lives as professionals.
Wow.
So we have architects who have come in and talked about the art and design of nets that go under bridges and how much creativity and artistry goes into that. We have people who talk about their hobbies. We have people who talk about their identities. So it's really very broad.
So is the purpose just to get that idea or get that thing you're passionate about in front of people?
It's twofold. One, it's a really great opportunity for creatives to distill their thoughts. And so as an exercise, I think people are surprised how useful it is because they say, oh, you know, that's something I could probably do. And then you think, how do I tell my story of what I do, what I work on in 7 minutes? So as an exercise, it's, I think, valuable for the people who are sharing.
Very interesting.
But beyond that, for the audience, we have people who come, and it is a ticketed event. It's worth it to people to come and say, what are people thinking about? What are people working on? What's on the vanguard right now? And there's an energy there in terms of sharing, in terms of networking, in terms of saying, you know, this guy is really big into the punk scene, and the Fresno punk scene is alive and well. And I didn't know that. But now I do, and I know who to talk to, and I know how to plug into that. And so for people who are coming, it's an exposure to different parts of the world of Fresno that they had no idea. One of the things that we find is that people who say, Fresno, there's nothing going on.
There's nothing to do here.
They just don't know. And so one of our goals is to tell the story of what is going on in Fresno.
Where does the name come from? Because it took me a while for me to kind of get, I'm like, how do you say this thing again?
Yeah.
How do you pronounce this thing?
Pecha Kucha is a Japanese word.
Okay.
The form came out of a firm in Japan who realized that people gave terrible presentations. They would be talking about great stuff, but it would be so boring.
Architecture.
Architecture, right? Yeah. And so they said, we're going to develop this very specific form to force people into the form so you don't have the dreadful PowerPoint presentations with 10 bullet points on a slide and they read the whole thing. So Pecha Kucha, essentially it means like chit chat, basically. That's kind of where it comes from. But as a form, it's kind of developed and grown into that. There are hundreds of cities around the world.
Now.
Yeah, you're right.
As of October last year, there's over 1,000 cities. It's an international organization that Creative Fresno, we get to host for Fresno, and honestly, I think we're the only ones in the Central Valley.
How cool.
Yeah.
What a great thing you're doing.
It's
Cities all over the world do it. In California alone, you have like San Diego and San Francisco, LA, I think Sacramento, and I think we're the ones that host the most out of California.
That's impressive.
We host regularly, and we have over the years, and it's just been wonderful. So the main organization is out of Japan, but now there's over 1,000 cities, and they just got an app.
Yeah, so they have an app, so you can get on and watch a Pecha Kucha a day. They have online resources, obviously. The big thing we're excited about right now is that this fall is our 10-year anniversary for Pecha Kucha. So we've got some big things being planned for that we're really excited to share. 10 years doesn't sound as long as sometimes it seems because we've seen such a body of work. But wow, what you can see in 10 years.
That's impressive.
It's amazing.
10 years,
it's incredible.
Yeah,
It
that's
really
one of our
is.
longest lasting projects.
Yeah.
So coming into this area, there's a mural with your name on it. David, why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, so honestly, with murals in general, when we started the mural project, there weren't many in Fresno at all, let alone downtown. And it's funny that the resources available change and the difficulties you have to overcome change. So when we first started out, we had actually done a lot of fundraising. We had a lot of money. We had the talent. No building owner wanted a mural. They didn't want that on their building.
I could just imagine, I don't know if frustration is the right word, but I could just imagine the eagerness. Like,
yeah,
I've got the money, I've got the talent, building, come on, owner of the building, let me know.
Yeah.
So the mural committee, really the champion of it for many years was a gentleman by the name of Donovan Gonzalez Byrne, and he actually was he facilitated everything. He did the fundraising along with Creative Fresno, like we did the fundraising together, but he organized it all. He found the artists, he convinced building owners to let them put up murals, and then he made agreements, contracts for the building owner and the artist and everyone to sign saying it will be up for this many years.
Wow.
If it gets vandalized, it has to be cleaned. There were a lot of strict stipulations put in there. But
something I learned since coming on at Creative Fresno is the amount of time and effort that goes into a mural once it's complete. People think, oh, it's beautiful, it gets painted, it gets put up. But in terms of maintaining a mural, in terms of remembering what this mural is and documenting this mural, but also the physical maintenance and care of it are fairly significant. When a building owner decides to put a mural on their building, those are things they have to take into consideration.
Well, and I had no, until you started talking, I had no idea or didn't even think about the maintenance aspect because, there are some mean people out there. So what if they throw eggs at this mural? So someone has to clean it up. Someone has to keep it clean. No, we don't want to do that. But so now when the murals are up, then it's the building owner's responsibility?
it depends on what's worked out. It's case-by-case basis. But one thing that we're trying to include in any murals that we work on is there's anti-graffiti protection coating that you can put on, and it has a certain shelf life and whatnot, so you can get a certain amount of years of protection out of a coating of this. And literally all you do is, if someone graffitis it, you take a regular garden hose and hose it down.
Wow.
And it comes right off.
At the end of the day, we want Fresno to look like a place that cares about their murals. And so it's in our interest, but also in our community's interest, to make them look great, to make people happy to have them. And thus far, we've had a lot of luck with that. People are very enthusiastic about the murals around Fresno. It's gorgeous.
What's impressive here is that you actually fundraised to have money to go have people paint murals. I mean, that's an impressive, if you think about the fact that, you're telling people, here, give me money, and I promise you that someone's going to go out and put a mural on a building,
Yeah.
But there's several murals out, and they look wonderful.
Yeah, and a big part of our mission is to pay artists actually what they're worth. We constantly get like, oh, you know artists, can they give me a discount on
The hookup, right?
Yeah.
Right,
We
yeah.
want to pay artists what they're worth. We want them to
But we want them to stay
value
here.
them.
We want them to work. We want them to be a part of the community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to answer your earlier question, there is a mural on Amador and Van Ness, and it welcomes you to the mural district, and on it has the artist names painted into it, as well as collaborators, and it says that it was a Creative Fresno mural. I think that's the only one that our name is in. One of the most notable murals we worked on and were a part of, it had many collaborators, was the Fresno stamp mural.
Not too far from here as well.
Yes,
Right,
which
right.
is the largest stamp mural, at least in the nation.
Wow.
And then most recently we've done some smaller murals, and we've worked on our digital mural map, cataloging all of them, as well as a mobile mural project.
It's pretty impressive. And I love the mural technology that you have on your website, because I went and I was able to navigate and find where the murals are. So that stuff is very, very impressive.
It's been a really fun project to work on. It's something that people get to play with, and they get to see the scope of really how many murals and how much work there is around Fresno. I think there are 260 plus murals on the map
Wow.
currently.
Yeah.
It's a dynamic page, so if people run across a mural and they say, hey, it's not up on that site, they're welcome to submit it. Or if they have information that they know about a mural, they can also submit that information. So it's constantly evolving.
I mean, literally in the past 4 or 5 months, I think there's been 4 or 5 new murals. There's one currently being worked on. There's a local business called Anzula, and they have a really beautiful mural that's being worked on right now.
Yeah.
So it sounds, over the years, I've been seeing more and more murals. So it sounds like this is picked up. Business owners have been interested. So what's the goal? Like murals all over town?
Sure, why not?
Great.
I mean, honestly, right now, the problem in the beginning was lack of interest from building owners, but that's not the problem anymore. Now it's honestly like funding. We have the talent, and every building owner, at least in downtown, so many of them are like, can you put a mural up? So now the demand is
Yeah.
high now, and luckily there's other organizations and other people putting up. There's building owners that are like, hey, can you just introduce me to some muralists, because I'm gonna fund this, I want it up. So it's been really great seeing that. Like Anzula, I believe they're funding their own mural because they love art and they want it to be a part of their building. They're a really creative company too. So
And it
Yeah.
looks cool. Like driving by, seeing a mural on the building, it looks different. It's not like the same plain color of the buildings.
Right.
You've got a mural to look at.
Practical aspects. One, it gives you identity. People know, oh yeah, that's that mural. They get excited about it. It's something interesting. 2, it adds to the community. It's something visually interesting, like you were saying. People like seeing that kind of thing. If it's a blank wall, it just
Yeah.
goes right past. 3, what we found is that people who might tend to be destructive kind of leave murals alone because they recognize the artistry there.
That's so cool.
And so, it's one of those things that we tell people, like, it's worth thinking about.
there are studies that show it reduces graffiti and
Yeah.
vandalism, because they, graffiti is a form of art and they respect other artists. They're not gonna.
Right. And so, there are a lot of advantages for people. Something else I do want to throw in, it is expensive. There is an expense.
And what's the cost?
It's not nearly as expensive as some people think. It depends on what you're getting done. And so it's really impossible to say, like, a mural is $4,000.
But is it, are we talking hundreds or thousands?
Thousands.
Probably thousands.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on the size of the building. It depends on how much negative space there is. But yeah, it's an expensive undertaking. So
Yeah, when
if you see
people-
a mural you like, thank the building maintainers, whoever they are.
When people come to us and want a mural, or they, like a building owner has their own budget, hey, I want a mural, can you get me a discount? Instead of just saying like, no, what are you talking about? That's not what we do. We try to say, well, we can probably find a mural within your budget. It might include more negative space or unfinished space, but that can be worked into the image, the design, and it will become part of the mural. So if you've got a huge wall that might take $6,000, $10,000 to put a full mural on, you might be able to do something for $2,000 and incorporate the wall itself or whatever unique things there are, like if there's some exposed brick or a beam or something, and just include that in it.
So your organization, people can become members. It's
Yes.
like a $20 annual fee. What do we get out of that? Or how do
Well,
we...
you get to be in the cool kids club.
Okay, which is worth $20, I'm going to admit.
I mean, one part of the reason that we have paid membership is that we use that money to further our projects. We are an all-volunteer board. We're an all-volunteer group, and so there's no staff funding. There's no big grant that's sitting behind us making all this happen. Two, as members. Well, actually, David, you should speak to this. Sorry, you run
No,
the
that's okay.
membership.
I mean, well, quite honestly, the big reason is to be a part of something bigger than yourself and to give back to the community and to support the arts. The fee to become a member is a drop in the bucket.
$20 a year.
Yeah.
That's not much.
No, we do lots of other fundraising and whatnot, but the membership fee also gives people skin in the game. And if you just say it's free, you might have 10,000 people as members, but do they show up? Do they volunteer? Do they participate? If it's a small fee, they're like, oh, okay, I should think about if I really want to join this and what I want to do. And if someone doesn't join because of a $20 fee, they probably weren't really going to be involved to begin with. And the $20 fee really, people, even if they don't get more involved, they feel like they've done something. And it does help. Like, we appreciate it.
It absolutely does.
And then...
When you said, what do you get? Brass tacks, what you get is that you get a Groovy membership. You
Okay.
get, in the system. We send out a newsletter. The newsletter has information about what we have going on, but also some different projects going on in the community. We discount ticket prices for the various events that we have. We do have Pecha Kucha, but we also have a variety of other events throughout the year. It's a big part of what we do, and that's kind of our public-facing activity is these events. So you did get a discount there. We have members-only events about once a year. They're a lot of fun. David's always cooking up something fun for those. And so that's a really great networking opportunity. It's a really fun opportunity to kind of say, hey, what's going on with other people? What are they working on? And as a member, you're invited to become a part of, you can attend all of our board meetings, you can attend any of our committee meetings, you can be a part of those in any capacity.
Oh, we strongly encourage people joining a committee
Please
and
join the
helping
committee.
out. And then with that too, you do get discounts at local businesses.
Oh, that's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
there's
Yeah.
a handful of local businesses that you would get discounts at for their products and services.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Where do you have an office, or where are these meetings?
So currently we work out of Workspace. It's on the 3rd floor of the Pacific Southwest building. A lot of
Yes.
people know it as the Security Bank building.
The big building.
Yes.
The lights and the
Right.
Christmas tree on top of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they have a great collaborative workspace, shared office space on the 3rd floor called Workspace. So we work out of there. That's where our board meetings are. Our committee meetings are held at other 3rd spaces around town. Membership meetings usually held at Teaser. Pecha Kucha is usually Starbucks, and I believe the Mural Committee is usually at Cup of Joy across from Fresno High.
Wow, sorry to interrupt, but it sounds
Yeah.
like your group gets around to the different places.
Yeah, we
you're
try
talking
to.
That's our
Clovis,
goal.
you're talking north, south, all over the place.
Yeah, we
Our-
try to.
Our identity is not one of a specific Fresno location. We're not downtown only. We're not tower only. We recognize that throughout town, there are a lot of people doing a lot of different things. Tower is great, downtown is great. We like supporting things that are happening in those areas. The Fresno High neighborhood is a fantastic thing. But we like to say, let's take a step back and look at what this does in terms of a whole community. And so that's a big part of our identity and of our purpose, is to look at Fresno and the greater Fresno area as a whole and say, how are we working together as a community?
And quite honestly, in the early stages, we did focus our attention on downtown Tower and Mural districts. But now there's so much positive momentum down here, and there's so many other groups getting involved. While we still, Pecha Kucha is hosted in downtown. We meet in downtown for our board meetings, and we do other things down here. While it's still a part of what we do, we want to make sure that we're not neglecting anyone else. We want to bring the arts and the creative events that we do to all of Fresno and the greater area.
So do you think that you're making Fresno fun?
I think so.
I think so.
I
That's
mean,
so
I
cool.
joined in college. If it wasn't fun, I wouldn't have joined.
I was much out of college when I joined, but as someone who transplanted to Fresno, I was excited.
Welcome, by the way.
Oh, well,
We're
thank
glad
you.
that you're here.
At this point, it's been a few years, but I'll accept the welcome nonetheless. But as a transplant, I saw both the opportunities that Fresno provided, as well as the things that were already happening. And so it was really great to get involved with an organization that said, how can we keep that momentum? How can we encourage people to continue that momentum?
So we're running out of time
Oh.
this week on the program, believe it or
right.
not. Time flies when you're here talking about all the exciting stuff happening.
Indeed.
Tell us your website. What can we find on the website? How can we become members?
So creativefresno.com. Don't judge us. It's under some work right now, the website that is.
Yes.
But on there, you can find out some basic information. And if you click to become a member, there are free memberships available online. Really, it's just a way to get on our email list and see what we're doing. And you can also pay to become a member. We're on all the social media platforms, Instagram and Facebook. And
You have
yeah.
a lot of members on Facebook, by the way. I was on your Facebook
Yeah, we
page,
do.
and I go, wow, they have this many members, so very impressive.
People are really excited to be a part of something,
And
and,
then-
that's what we want to be.
And then they might see you or your table at a yard sale or something.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
So,
we go to various community events and host various events of our own.
so you know what? We're out of time this week on the program, but I'm so glad you're here. You shared a little bit about Creative Fresno. Now I'm going to think of you every time I pass by these beautiful
Please
murals,
do.
which I walk by every day. And I'm sure people pass by every day that don't make the connection. So keep up the great work.
Well, thank
Awesome.
you so
Thank you
much.
so
Thanks
much
for
for
having
having
us.
You're welcome. I'm going to invite you back to talk about more murals and stuff like that.
Excellent.
Great.
Thanks.
That's all for this edition of the Central Valley Ledger. We've been recording out of the beautiful downtown Fresno studios of the Community Media Access Collaborative. Fresno and Clovis, our guests have been with Creative Fresno, a fun organization. It sounds like doing a lot of cool things in the area. Thank you to the audience members listening to this broadcast on KFSR 90.7 FM and to those watching this broadcast on CMAC, Comcast Xfinity 93, AT&T Uverse 99, or online at cmac.tv. Thank you also to the volunteer crew that make this production and every production possible. We couldn't do it without them in the studios now, making us look and sound good. Hope you enjoyed the program this week. Tune in next week to a new edition.
KFSR and CMAC present the Central Valley Ledger every Sunday morning at 11:30. For a complete program schedule, visit kfsr.org.